Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be talking about the buyer representation agreement, buyer representation and broker compensation agreement. And so, a couple of caveats before we get started. And I know a lot of people will probably skip this part, but I think it's really, really important. So, make sure if you are a realtor in the state of California that you are using this form. Make sure it's the California Association of Realtors form. Why? Because the standard of care says that you may discuss the standard form. And so if you use a different kind of form, then you might be getting yourself into some kind of trouble. So check with your broker, see if this is okay. But notice on the very beginning of this page, notice where it says revised 1224. You want to make sure you're using the current version of the form. Why? Because the protections are built in there for you as well as for your buyer. Okay, so make sure you're using the current version of the form. If you are copying transactions within your zip form program, then you are probably using an old form. So let's make sure we're using the right form. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that. We're going to call that the header, but then I also want to talk about the second form that we've got, and that's going to be the second part of this, which is going to be the date prepared. So the date prepared, it seems really easy, but it is the date that you put the agreement together. It is not necessarily the date that the buyer signed it. Okay, so you could have a date that's going to be sometime that starts in the future. We'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. But, again, you will not have a client until the start date is the same as the date that you're working with the client. So date prepared, completely separate thing. It is the date that you put the document together.